this is a steal for the Chicago Bulls after signing Tre Jones and the price tag that they would be getting Josh Giddey from is a steal of a lifetime. Hi, I'm Shaq Barnes here, another episode of Bulls Digest, and I'm one of my favorite things, Chicago Bulls. And 6-7% of you guys have been watching the channel, have not subscribed. Treat like the Bulls intro, run right through that subscribe button. You already know like how I do things here. I don't like to waste you guys' time. Let's get right into it. Obviously, I was waiting on a big splash to happen to see maybe we're going to add up things going on, especially with players getting waived and he adding players on. Anything can happen now in this second apron era of basketball. But obviously, the Bulls had re-signed Tre Jones, having returned to the Bulls 3 years, $24 million. This was a very expected move. We all know Billy Donovan was very high on Tre Jones, and then with the departure of Lonzo Ball, this Tre Jones is the type of point guard that we need that can play, make, and knock down shots. Does not have the size of Lonzo Ball, or the defensive ability or defensive versatility, I should say, more than anything that Lonzo Ball had. But for the price that we're getting Tre Jones for, and his ability to be available, I think that is great for the Chicago Bulls. Obviously, Tre Jones, they announced the deal by Shams. He was averaging 11, 4, and shooting 57% of the field before he sprained his left foot at the end of the season of March. I think Tre Jones is expected to have a bigger year because he's going to have a bigger role with this team. I think he's going to be the backup PG to Josh Giddey, and I think I'm expecting around those type of numbers this year for Tre Jones, 11, 4, and a high clip from shooting. And this is where we get to the point of what are we doing with the Chicago Bulls here this offseason, because a lot of teams have been making moves, guys. And this is all we did so far. And we're going into day 3 of free agency right now. We only signed Tre Jones. We just traded Lonzo Ball for Isaac Okoro. That's it. And I think the reason for this is not just the Bulls are being incompetent front office, but that's a different story for a different day because you can bring that. But I think this situation is because they're waiting on what's going on with Josh Giddey. I think they're trying to get the number figured out because that's another thing that a lot of Bulls fans and even I'm confused on, like what has been the holdup with this Josh Giddey situation. Can you not find a number? But Josh Giddey is also stuck in a position where he kind of got the Bulls gonna get him for a great price because there's no other money out there. The Brooklyn Nets is over with. It's done. But yes, plenty of money left to spend. But the Bulls got new leverage when it comes to Josh Giddey. This is from Yasa Goslin for the Chicago Bulls. I think he's a reporter. I forgot what company. But the Chicago Bulls re-signed Tre Jones with his bird rights to a 3-year, $24 million. The project to be $39 million below the luxury tax line. You know which Chicago Bulls want to be under that, especially nowhere near close to that first April, which we're probably not going to hit. Plenty of room to re-sign Josh Giddey and use either their $14 million mid-level exception or their $17 million trade exception, which I don't think that the Bulls are trying to do that because if you get Josh Giddey on the contract, you can still have those mid-level exceptions to maybe go find you a cheap big or another guy to add to the roster that you want to add. I think the Chicago Bulls want to get this Josh Giddey contract done. Josh Giddey seems like he's a part of the Chicago Bulls' future. Now, the contract that I think is really in question is Kobe White. That's why we've been hearing so many Kobe White trade rumors. But that's another subject for another day. But you look at the Bulls situation, player roster, they got 14-man rosters. Total salary right now is $148 million. Luxury tax space, $39 million, pretty much $40 million. Non-tax mid-level, $14 million. Hard cap, first apron is $195 million, which we know the Chicago Bulls is nowhere near that at all. Now, when it comes to Giddy situation, said something to keep in mind is that they are still 39 million below the luxury tax. If the Chicago Bulls were to keep Giddy's deal around 25 million, they would still have a full mid-level exception to spend on a player that could make a legitimate difference. And I've been calling the Chicago Bulls have been pretty much showing that when Josh Giddey asked for 30, the number around the ballpark that we kept hearing was 25, 25, 25. And I think, honestly, it was at a point where they were saying 22. But I think because they actually like Josh Giddey, they think he's a part of the future. They're like, hey, we could probably bump it up to 25. What I think the Chicago Bulls should do, if I was them, to make even Josh Giddey happy, look, make it 25, put some incentives in the contract that, hey, if this happened, make the playoffs, he shoot a certain percentage, he get a certain assist number. If the Bulls team rate, just put things like that, and then give them an extra 5 million off that, off the incentives. Let them earn the other, because the Bulls can play hardball at this point in time because there's nobody else to have money. That's why I said I think they're panicking more with Kobe White, because in 2026, Kobe White is free to go wherever you want to do, and a lot of teams going to have money. And Kobe White's name is actually being called up a lot by other teams. He said the Chicago Bulls had walked out as winners of the Josh Giddey negotiation with the Brooklyn Nets acquiring Michael Porter Jr. from the Denver Nuggets. They are no longer a true threat to steal the guard away. With an offer sheet in the restricted free agency, there were only teams previously in a position with significant spending power, meaning the Bulls can now play the ultimate hardball with their young point guard as markets dwindle. If they end up giving Giddy the 30 million he has long covered, it will be yet another example of failure to understand the leverage process. Heck, after the Nets news, I changed my contract projection rather significantly, dropping from 5 years, 140 million, to a 5 years, 128. You think that signing him to something right around 25 million a year would be extremely doable at this point? And I 100% agree with that. At the end of the day, you got to handle the business of basketball. And right now, this front office is getting torched by Bulls fans in the world globally because it doesn't seem like they know what they're doing. You cannot mess this up. At the end of the day, you cannot mess this up. Everybody in Chicago, we think Josh Giddey can be great. But let's be honest, Josh Giddey was outstanding for half a season. We didn't even get a chance to see a full season of it, nor if he can do it for a full season of it. If you can play hardball in the business of basketball where you can negotiate, because everybody do that on the player side, hey, if I can negotiate me getting more money, I'm going to go do that. We just seen that happen with Bounce Turner, where he wanted more money. They couldn't they didn't want to do it, so he left. Look, it's a business at the end of the day. But I figured that if the Bulls showing much love that they want with Giddy, go for the 25, add incentives in the contract. And I think that'll solve everybody's problem at all. Giddy can get this 30, but he might have to work for the 30. And the Bulls got him on the cap for that 25 million where they want him at. I think it's perfect. And with the Nets being out the way, Giddy don't have no leverage at all. No leverage at all. And I know he wants a contract. He's not going to try to sign extension with the contract. And the Bulls trying to make sure they get it right from the perspective of what happened with the Patrick Williams deal. But been another great episode of Bulls Digest. Shaq Barnes. Now, comment down below, how are we grading the Chicago Bulls offseason so far? What are we grading it? Let me know. See you guys on the next one. Peace.